Hey, what's up guys, Anboniwow here, and today I wanted to make this video to talk about Shadow Priest in patch 8.0. I get a lot of questions on stream. I stream over on Twitch TV, right there. Check it out if you want to ask me anything, whatever, just hang out. I stream almost every day, but I get a lot of questions regarding my talents, PvP talents, stat priorities, all that, so I decided to just make a guide. So, first things first, I know a lot of guys just focus on the talents and stat priorities and comps and all that, and we'll get to that, and that's going to be like the meat of the guide. But first, at least for me, whenever I try to learn a new class, I like to just have a general idea of what the class does, what it's good at, and just what I'm supposed to be looking out for, I guess, in a sense. Basically what your role is as a Shadow Priest, okay, in arena, in threes. So Shadow Priests right now are in this goofy state where the meta requires you to play Edge of Insanity. If you don't know, Edge of Insanity is a PvP talent. We'll get to that in detail when we talk about talents. But basically, you almost never go in Voidform, which that's kind of goofy because most, like your whole toolkit revolves around Insanity, getting Insanity, staying in Voidform. But if you go in Voidform in Arena, you kind of die because you lose Edge of Insanity. And again, we'll get to that. But you almost never go in Voidform. Your damage is always going to be very low, minimal. You're not going to contribute to kills with damage too much, although you do a little bit, you have a tiny bit. Just wanted to let you know, your damage is not your number one priority. As a Shadow Priest, you are the meat shield, okay, right now. You are the meat shield. You are this guy. You're this guy. And your teammate is this guy. He's the one slashing them, okay? So you don't do a lot of damage, but you do have really good utility, really good CC every minute, and you're kind of tanky as well because of Edge of Insanity. So that's the first thing I wanted to put out there. Your overall goal is to pair up with another DPS that can kill things on their own almost. So like a rogue or something that can complement your strong CC every minute. So like a hunter would be good. Frost mages kind of work with Shadow Priests, although it's always gonna be most of the time it's gonna be a long game. I'm not a huge fan of long games anymore, ever since Legion dampened me. But yeah, there's basically when you play a comp, you want to keep in mind that you as a Shadow Priest, you're more there for CC and to be the meat shield, and you want your teammate to actually do the damage that kills someone. Your damage just tickles a little bit. Also, there was someone on stream who asked me what I think are the biggest mistakes or most common mistakes that new or Shadow Priests make, and I thought of my own mistakes, and I think that's maybe relevant to other people, so I wrote them down here. Number one, not using utility enough. Okay, you have stuff like Life Grip, Mass Dispel, and Mind Control alongside your shield, your off heals, but especially Grip, Mass Dispel, and Mind Control. You can use them in so many different ways. Okay, obviously you get better at this with experience. The more you play, the more you get to see what's going on around you. You get to see your healer when they get stunned and a hunter's coming in for a trap. You can grip him so they miss the trap. You can mind control the hunter while the trap is in the air, like precast mind control, so the trap becomes friendly and it doesn't do anything to them. If you see an enemy mage cast a Ring of Frost, you can grip your healer out of the Ring of Frost, or you can mind control their healer into their Ring of Frost. There's a lot of things like that you can do, but just come with experience. But I guess that's one thing a lot of people could work on, just utility. Then I have, these are my problems, not keeping dots up, at least Shadowward Pain. There are times when I let my dots fall off, and I don't think you should let your Shadowward Pains fall off. That's your almost number one priority in terms of damage, but we'll get to that in a second. And then not Mind Blasting enough. Mind Blasting, that is my problem. I don't Mind Blast enough, and it ends up hurting my damage overall. Right now, it's not a huge deal, because with the Edge of Insanity thing, you just go in Edge of Insanity, you don't do a lot of damage. Even if I were to spam Mind Blast, it's a bit more damage on the scoreboard, so it looks like I did more damage, but it's not super relevant, okay? But if they buff numbers and buff Voidform, and you are required to go in Voidform and actually start doing damage, basically there's no excuse. Yeah, I should Mind Blast more, okay? Mind Blast almost on cooldown, if possible. And then one more problem that I kind of fixed for myself, or at least I'm in the process of fixing, is faking too much. Legion, again, messed with me too much. In Legion, you had to cast VTs, hard cast a lot, and everybody had a million kicks, and they still have a million kicks, but Vampiric Touch is not as important, at least not right now. You can do just fine with all instants, like never cast, and a lot of times you don't get to cast at all. So my opinion is don't fake cast too much, okay? You can try to juke a spell, juke some kicks a little bit. If you don't get them, it's trust me, it's better to get kicked and get it out of the way and then have like 10 seconds of free casting and not worry about it than just sit there and, you know, fake again and again and again. Okay, I'm getting better at this. I'll show you how to fake as well. All right, that's it for the introduction. I hope it wasn't too long. We're gonna jump in, talk about talents, stats, general guide stuff, and then I'll talk about some tips and tricks, I guess rotation. Although there's not a lot of things to say, but I'll give you everything that I think would help. Okay, and if you have any more questions, again, you can find me on Twitch. Let's get going. Okay, let's talk about some in-game stuff. Talents, rotation. I've seen other classes talk about rotation, like
Ultra Time, Deep Freeze, Pyroblast, Ultra Time, Pyroblast, Pyroblast, Combustion, Pyroblast.
You could do Judgment, Execution Sentence, Wake of Ash into a big Templar Verdict, Execution Sentence, Judgment, and big Wake of Ash into a Templar Verdict.
Cheap Shot, Nightblade, Shadow Dance, all my cooldowns, Cold Blood, Shadow Strike, Gormaz, Kidney Shot, Mark for Death, Eviscerate, Dance again when it hits 0 seconds, Shadow Strike into Cheap Shot into a 5-point Eviscerate. And then that's like the most optimal opener that you can possibly do.
okay, well, Shadow Priest, you got your. Let's start off with something pretty basic, okay? Now there's a lot of ways I could do this. I could do it like best case scenario, or I could do it the realistic style, and I'm gonna keep it kind of brief, and I'm gonna mention the realistic style, okay? Because in theory, yeah, you could go crit, and you could play Shadowy Apparition spec maybe. You could go a lot of Mastery and play with a Thought Harvester and do big burst damage, but as we agreed before, Shadow Priests don't do a lot of damage. You know, you're polishing that 0 damage. So we're gonna go for the realistic spec and what's the most popular right now. So first of all, traits, the most popular ones right now, and probably the best ones to go for because it's the easiest way to get damage out there. It's Death Throws. Okay, it's just the most damage overall. Shadow Priests don't have any insanely game-breaking traits, so it's just pick whatever does the most damage. And I believe Death Throws is that right now. Again, in the future, if they decide to buff Voidform, stuff like Thought Harvester might be pretty interesting because you do some nice burst damage with a big Mind Blast. But for now, yeah, I would stay Death Throws. Alright, now stats. Stats actually matter compared to Legion, where it didn't matter at all. In BFA, your stats do matter. So you want to go for Intellect. First of all, you want to get as much Intellect as possible. Intellect is your main stat. After Intellect, you want to get Haste. And after Haste, here's the debate. Some people say Mastery, some people say Versatility. I think Versatility ends up being a little bit better, just because Mastery, you do more damage if you go for more Mastery. You do more damage, but you're a bit tankier with Versatility. And as I said before, your damage is kind of low anyway. So it's not really a huge DPS loss if you go Versatility. I go Intellect, Haste, Versatility / Mastery, whichever one you want to go for. They're both kind of the same. I would suggest Versatility, and then Crit is probably last. Okay, and then obviously you have stuff like Leech, Avoidance, Speed. These don't really matter. Okay, so there's your stats. And now for talents. Okay, talents. I could talk about talents for hours. All right, but I'm gonna keep it. I'll try to keep it kind of brief and relevant. All right. So for 3's arena, best talents you can pick. First row, no question about it. Shadowy Insight ends up being the most damage, just the most Mind Blast overall. Okay, nothing else even comes close in arena. One thing to keep in mind: Shadowy Insight was changed from Legion to where it's proc per minute, I think. So it doesn't matter if you have a million targets dotted with Shadowed Pain. Up until BFA, if you had like a bunch of targets with Shadowed Pain, you would always like have one of these procs. And now it's just, it doesn't matter if you have again a million targets or just one, you get kind of the same procs. All right, so if you're dotting everything with Shadowed Pain in hope of getting more Mind Blast procs, it's not gonna happen. So just keep that in mind. All right, now on the next tier, we have Mania. I'll pick Mania 99% of the cases. Sometimes I'll go Sand Lane. I know there's people who suggest going Sand Lane more often, but I'll explain why I go Mania most of the times. Again, we'll get to the PvP talents, but we'll play Edge of Insanity. That's the meta right now. We discussed this. So we'll always be, or almost always be, at 100 Insanity, just running away, doing mediocre damage, going for CC, and just being a meat shield. Alright, so in that regard, Mania makes the most sense. You gain like a big speed increase all the time, so you move really fast. Okay, maybe I should show you this by, you know, actually pressing some buttons and showing you how fast you move with Mania, although you guys probably know that already. So as soon as I'm over 60 Insanity, I hit my Edge of Insanity and I move really fast. I'm like sprinting all the time. And this has no DR, no, it's not a cooldown. I always move like this. Obviously, I'll get slowed every once in a while, but you know, I can just ask for a freedom or a dispel or anything like that, and I can kite really, really well. Shadow Priests are actually very mobile if they don't get slowed. This sprint, you just keep it up the entire game. It makes it so much easier to run for fears and just kite in general. You know, your healer gets CC'd, you can just start kiting a little bit. It helps a lot. Actually, it helps so much. Sand Lane, I would go Sand Lane a lot more if we were to go in Voidform more often. The reason for that is Sand Lane is amazing. It makes Vampiric Embrace amazingly strong, especially if you use it with a Void Eruption. Because when you do a Void Eruption, that's when you do your highest burst. So Void Eruption on a lot of targets with Sand Lane, with Vampiric Embrace, is gonna heal someone up so much. It's like lay on hands almost, depending on how many targets you get. It's so much healing. So Sand Lane is great like that, but since you don't really go in Void Form, you know, the most value you'll get out of Sand Lane, in my opinion, is just the like, you know, 100% of all the dot damage and just some instant damage you do. So if you want to use Vampiric Embrace, if you feel like you need to use Vampiric Embrace more for your teammates and not for yourself, then Sand Lane is good. If you feel like you personally need more healing, then in my opinion, Mania makes more sense. Because you can't, you know, the more damage you do, the more you cast, the more healing you do with that. Let me try. The more damage you do, the more offensive you can stay while in Vampiric Embrace. Obviously, the more healing you do. And usually, you need healing when you can't cast, because you're getting trained. And if you can't cast, you can't do damage, then you can't heal. So when you need the healing the most, you can't get it. Does that make sense? That's why I personally like Mania a lot more. Alright, next tier. Next tier, the only viable choice is Misery. Again, you'll see when I explain gameplay. A lot of times you just press Shadow Word Pain like this. So you might ask why even play Misery. The reason is Twist of Fate gives you 10% more damage and it's not up for too long. And even if it was, we agreed that Shadow Priest damage is kind of not amazing. 10% wouldn't make a huge difference. I don't think it's that great. And then Dark Void is like really bad in PvP. You never use it. So Misery does give you a lot of free globals when you do have the time to free cast, because basically you have Vampiric Touch is as long as a global cooldown. So putting VT on all 4 targets and then a shield on myself is just as long as me putting Shadow Word Pain on every target and then a shield on myself. It's just as long. Okay, so if you have like 4 seconds of free casting, Misery will give you a lot of free globals. Next, we have our CC tier. This is actually pretty good. Again, 99% of the times I will pick Psychic Horror. It depends on what comp you play. If you play with something that has a lot of stuns, you want to pick Last Word maybe. But I would suggest in general just pick Psychic Horror and get used to having that, get comfortable with that. It lines up really well with your normal silence. So you can, let's say you're over here and you're CCing that guy, that's the healer, you're killing this guy. Okay, this guy, I'll put him on focus. You can do a focus stun, then you move in, because otherwise he won't sit there for the fear. You move in, you get the fear, and then at the end of the fear you get the silence, and meanwhile you're beating on this guy. So it's nice to just keep people in place. It's good. Next up, again, not a lot of choices here. Auspicious Spirits, it's not very good. Shadow Word Death, it's the best one on the tier. Shadow Crash does less damage than a Mind Blast, and the Insanity Generation doesn't really matter because we don't go in Void Form. And again, I'll talk about that in a bit as well. You don't need Insanity Generation with this spec because you just pop your Mindbender when the game starts and that's it. So Shadow Crash doesn't make a lot of sense. Maybe if you go for a comp that's all about rot damage and just pump damage as much as you can. But then why would you pick? I guess you could pick a Shadow Priest because they're kind of tanky, so they can drag the game out quite a bit. But even then, I think that even though it doesn't do a lot of damage on the scoreboard, it usually secures kills. I think it's pretty good. Next up here, there's no... This tier is so bad. Lingering Insanity, you never go in Voidform. Void Torrent, you never go in Voidform, and plus it does low damage. Mindbender does the most damage. It's really useful in the start of the game because it gives you Insanity fast, so you can reach that edge of Insanity. It does the most damage. You don't need Voidform. It's the only choice. And then on this tier, you can't pick Surrender to Madness in Arena. It just doesn't work. And then Dark Ascension and Legacy of the Void are both pretty equal in terms of DPS if you were to go in Voidform. But again, you don't go in Voidform, so Dark Ascension is just crossed out. You don't need to pick that ever. You just pick Legacy of the Void, therefore making Edge of Insanity work above 60 Insanity instead of 90. Because if I pick this, it says 90. Alright? Now over to PvP talents. Edge of Insanity, always keep that on, put it there, forget about it, okay? For PvP, for Arena, right now you have to play this. And next, these two are kind of personal preference. A lot of people change them around a lot. So I'll just tell you what works for me. Void Shift, I'm not a huge fan of this spell, but it's really good. A lot of times I just use it bad, but if you use it correctly, it does save you games. It's really good. It's a super strong defensive. So I kind of always play Void Shift now. If you play Void Shift, you kind of have to play Medallion so that you keep them together. Otherwise, you will always die in a stun with Void Shift available. So you want to always save your Trinket for a Trinket Void Shift. Okay, so you're kind of forced to play Medallion if you play Void Shift. And then for the last one, I kind of like Mind Trauma. I used to play Siphon a lot more, but Siphon dies a lot. But even if, here's the thing, even if Siphon dies, let me talk about Siphon. Even if Siphon dies really fast, the best way I found to use a Siphon, let's say we're killing this guy and that guy's the healer again. So let's say I got the fear already because I don't want to keep you guys here forever. Okay, I got the fear. I'm beating this guy up, doing damage, and then I have a stun on the healer, and I'm beating him up some more, and then I'll do a silence, and then at the end of the silence, I'll throw a Siphon, because usually when healers come out of CC, they'll throw like a big life cocoon or a big riptide or a big instant heal to save their teammates. It depends against like what healers you play against, obviously, but Siphon will reduce even life cocoon by half. Like it reduces shields, heals, everything by half. It's really strong. So you can use Siphon even if they kill it really fast for just that one button they press. And then Mind Trauma is just something I've played with more recently. It's really annoying for the enemy team, I imagine. It's whenever you get the Mind Flay all the way to the end, you get this undispellable now. It used to be dispellable, stackable debuff on them and a buff on you, and you steal 3% haste per stack, and it lasts for 20 seconds, and you can stack it up to 4. So at 4 stacks, they have 12% less haste, and I have 12% more haste. And the cool thing is, you can steal haste from up to 3 targets, giving you a ton of haste. Now when you use this, it's easy to get lost in it and just try to keep a lot of haste is stolen from everyone, like this. I could steal haste all day, boy. Okay, we could steal a lot of haste here, but if you do that, you'll kind of be stuck just mind flaying all day, which is not great. Don't do that. It's a trap. Okay, don't do that. Okay, this is the most haste I can possibly get. Oh wait, does it stop at 8? Oh, I was pretty sure it stops at 3. Okay, so I guess that's the most haste you can steal, 8. Anyway, don't focus too much on keeping it at 4 stacks. If you play it, just play normally, prioritize other stuff, and then when you do end up pressing a Mind Flay, just keep it all the way to the end. And if you get like 2, maybe 3 stacks, yeah, maybe then you can try to like go out of your way to get a reset on the stacks. Okay, so that's pretty much it for all the talents. I think I covered everything. There's a lot more talents, but a lot of them are just not very good. Void Shield is really bad. Pure Shadow, I'm not a big fan of Pure Shadow. I would rather just disperse at higher HP than waste in air quotes a talent for a 2-minute cooldown. It doesn't really do much anyway. Just lets you not die. Driven to Madness. Yeah, I forgot Driven to Madness is actually good. I will use Driven to Madness against Rogue Mage Druid RMD. Always. And the reason for that is they all start in stealth. They're all invisible, so I get no insanity when they open on me. So Driven to Madness will make me tankier a bit faster because can this guy hit me back? It doesn't hit me back. Because they start beating up on me and I start getting insanity from them beating up on me. So maybe I can get away without dispersing in the opener. Otherwise, if I don't play Driven to Madness and it's a good RMD and they start on me, I will always have to use dispersion in the opener, or even more. I can a lot of times use everything in the opener. It's really annoying. But I don't play Driven to Madness too much. I suggest you try Mind Trauma or Siphene. I think Siphene is just easier to get into, and then try Mind Trauma as well. Mind Trauma is more like micromanagement. You don't necessarily have to play it though. That's it with okay, most guys would stop there and say, yeah, that there's your talents, your stat priority, good luck, have fun, get yourself a nice rogue and a shaman, and good luck. Go queue up some threes. You're ready, queue it up, boy. But I'm gonna stay a tiny bit longer and talk about some just general tips and just how to play, I guess. Just random stuff, okay, off the top of my head. I do have some of them written down, but it's probably gonna be a mess. So from here on out, it's okay. Good luck. Okay, good luck keeping up. So first of all, when the game opens, gates open, and the game starts, what I like to do, because obviously you'll be at 0 insanity, I like to rush to this edge of insanity threshold. So I want to get to 60 insanity as soon as possible so I can be tanky. A lot of teams, especially now since they're starting to learn how to counter Shadow Priest, will pop everything in the start and try to get your cooldowns, maybe even kill you before you get to 60 insanity. You'll actually see a lot of people play Driven to Madness because of that. Good way around that is as soon as the gates open, first button I press, Mindbender. Mindbender will get me insanity, and I start casting Shadow Word Pain on all 3 targets, all of them, okay? The reason why, okay, I'm already at 16 sanity. The reason why I cast the Shadow Word Pains is because a lot of times, usually most teams will pop all of their cooldowns, offensive cooldowns, and you should as well in the start, just to get pressure early. And if you have dots on everything and your healer gets CC'd, a lot of times you can get away without dispersing by just pressing Vampiric Embrace. Vampiric Embrace is a pretty strong cooldown, but I would rather press Embrace and not have disperse. So at this point, you know, I'm tanky, I have 3 dots running, so I'll get my Mind Blast procs as well. I have these ghosts flying around, and if I have to disperse, I can use my unused trinket. That's what I have. I have a trinket that gives me 10% versatility, so I'll do more damage with my dots, and I'll be 5% tankier, and I'll press my Vampiric Embrace, and then I'll just cast my instant Mind Blast, and a lot of times I won't have to use Dispersion, just because, you know, from them popping cooldowns and me popping just Vampiric Embrace and my trinket. Because I'm getting a lot of heals now, okay? Alright, so that's the opener, that's how I open. And then, after you do that, obviously, again, this is like a general thing, you always want to, I feel like this is really important. I wasn't doing this at all up till like last expansion. I was playing really bad. You should have goes really early. You should go offensive really fast. You want to get momentum, basically, right? You want to like be ahead of them. Just pop everything, okay? This is the healer right here. Let me put a mark on him. That's the healer. Okay, we're killing this guy. Okay, gates open, bam, gates open. I press my Mindbender, dot. Okay, my Mind Blast proc. Okay, I lost it. And now I tell my other DPS, okay, let's go. Now, let's say he's a rogue. He presses Kidney Shot. I instantly go for a stun on this guy. And, you know, I'll even go in Voidform sometimes. Okay, I decided to not go in Voidform because I was losing my stun. Go for a Silence, go for a Fear. Mind Blast. Meanwhile, that guy's, you know, I should have casted them Vampiric Touch. And, you know, you put them on the back foot. And then the next time you have your Mindbender, you will also have your Sphere, kind of. You know, they line up pretty well. Well, you're going to have Psychic Horror now, because I use them at the same time. You're going to have Psychic Horror, Mindbender, Silence, and your Fear is going to be a little bit delayed. You'll have it for your next go. But then your next go is like super strong, because you have every 45 seconds, you have a pretty big go, and every minute you have a big go. And every 2 minutes, you have the biggest go, because that's how other classes cooldowns usually work, all right? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So yeah, the opener again, Mindbender, dot everything, go offensive straight away. I mean, make sure your teammate can go offensive. You don't have to do it first 3 globals, but do it early. Don't wait. Don't, like, if they're on top of you, you're playing defensive. Sometimes you are forced defensive first, and you gotta respect that. Just go disperse. You know, a turtle made it to the water, and try not to die, and then you can go offensive. But the sooner you get pressure, the better. Okay, let's see what else I have here. If you want to have relevant damage, yes. Okay, so the best way to play Shadow, best in air quotes, right? Like, if you want to be relevant on the scoreboard and have the most damage, this is like the textbook way to play. You want to have your 2 dots on all 3 targets. Okay. Priority number 1 is to have Shadow Word Pain on everyone, especially if you play triple death throws. Those are the Azurite traits. So that's priority number 1. No, priority number 1 is actually Shadow Word Death. Okay, so if you have someone in Shadow Word Death range, that's priority number 1, Shadow Word Death. Then maybe your instant Mind Blasts, and then having dots Shadow Word Pain on everyone. Okay, and then VT on at least your kill targets. And then Mind Blast on cooldown. Mind Blast on cooldown is a big thing, okay? I don't use Mind Blast enough. It's a 6-second cooldown. You should be spamming this. So if you have a 30-minute game and you have only... Not a 30, what am I saying? If you have a 3-minute game... Okay, 5-minute game and you only have 15 Mind Blasts, you have to Mind Blast more, okay? But Mind Blast... Here's the thing, like, a lot of times you'll have Mind Blast ready, but you won't be able to just sit there and cast Mind Blast because you gotta Mastery Spell, run, Mind Control, CC, do a lot of other things. So that's why I'm saying this is, you know, in theory, in air quotes, the proper way to play. But if you have a 5-minute game and you only pressed Mind Blast 15 times, then yeah, I definitely need to press it more. Okay? I hope that makes sense. One more thing I wanted to mention, and that is Voidform. Voidform is really Monk-ass. Okay, this is scary, danger zone, all right? If you go in Voidform, you do a tiny bit more damage, but you take a lot more damage because you lose Edge of Insanity and you lose the 10% physical damage reduction from Shadow Form. So you are super squish in Voidform. But there are moments when I will go in Voidform, even when I get attacked a lot. If I get trained all game long, I might not press it ever. But if they swap back and forth, or if it's super deep into dampening, you might want to press it. The best way I found to use Voidform is, you know, let's say you get your CC on the healer, you get your stun, fear, silence, whatever you decide to do, and then you're beating on the 1 DPS. This works best in 3s though. In 2s you're not really gonna kill anyone. But if you have someone else hitting the DPS with you, let's say they're about half HP. If they're about half HP and the healer is in CC, then it might be worth it to go in Voidform. The thing with Voidform is, let me get some insanity. The thing with Voidform is, unlike Legion, your Void Bolt starts off cooldown. So if your Void Eruption is a cast and you don't play Void Origins, if it's a cast, then you can just spam Void Eruption and you'll do Void Eruption damage plus Void Bolt damage, and they both hit at the same time. They do a lot of damage. They do about 20k together, like added, and that's if nothing crits. That's a 20k guaranteed burst. It's even more if you have trinkets up, and you know, if they're half HP, it might put them into Shadow Word Death range. Shadow Word Death hits for 10k, and you have 2 of them. So, you know, best case scenario you can get not best case scenario with no crits, you get like 40k damage in 4 globals. That's pretty good, I think. It's actually like 3 globals because one of them happens at once. So the way you do that, very simple. When you want to kill someone, all right, that guy's the healer. We're killing this guy. When you want to kill someone, you want to make sure you have both your dots up. All right, usually Mind Blast is on cooldown by then. Okay, if you have a proc, that's even better. And you're going for CC. Okay, before you go for CC, you pop your Mindbender. That's your biggest burst damage. Okay. Oh, I don't have this focus. Okay. So I'm gonna stun the healer, pop my trinket, go for Void Eruption, into Void Bolt, into Silence, into Casted Mind Blast. Now, normally he would be at Shadow Word Death range, but you know, it's a dummy and doesn't take any damage. Go for a Fear and keep pumping damage. Just press whatever's available. Once you're in Void Form, you know, you don't really want to go in Void Form, but if you are in Void Form, I'm hitting the wrong target, aren't I? Once you go in Void Form, priority number 1 is Shadow Word Death, and then Void Bolt, then Mind Blast, and then dots and everything else. If you want to stay in Void Form. But again, it's kind of risky. If you go in Voidform and they don't die, they just use cooldowns. A lot of times I won't even cast anything. I'll just stop casting so I get out of Voidform fast. So I can get, I'll even, there have been games where I canceled my Mindbender. Let's say I try to kill this guy, okay? Okay, so we're trying to kill him. Okay, so I'm gonna CC the healer again. I'm gonna pop my Shadow Fiend, CC the healer, go in Void Form, Void Eruption, and bam, silence healer, cast the Mind Blast, and oh, he's not dead. They use the Bubble Sack. Bubble Sack, and now they're hitting me. And now I'm getting Insanity, so I'll just cancel off my Mindbender. And now, this is really awkward and goofy from Blizzard, because I can't cancel off my Void Form, it doesn't let me. So I'll just not cast anything until I exit Void Form, and then I'll try to like recover somehow and get Insanity fast by just putting instants. Hopefully I get some casts off, some procs. Yeah, there you go. I'm back in Edge, almost, there you go. Alright, and now I'll just mention faking really quick, because I told you this last bit's gonna be all over the place. Faking, the best way I've like found to fake people is when the game starts. Again, you want to put your instance up, get your damage out before you get kicked, if possible. Once you have your Shadow Word Pains up and your tank, your Void Form, it's fine to tank kicks. If you want to juke, which is a good idea in the start, the way I juke, okay, I do this. So a lot of people will mostly kick VT. They won't really kick anything else. Sometimes they do, but usually they don't. At lower rating, the easiest way to juke is just sit there. They're hitting you, okay? They're in your face like this. You just cast a Mastery spell. Random Mastery spell. Let it almost go through. Just cancel it at the very, very end. A lot of people will just kick that because they see a cast and they kick it. And then if they kick it, you can cast Shadow School just fine. If they don't fall for that or at higher rating, some people kick early, like around here. Okay, let me do a mind vision. Some people, if you look at my mouse, some people kick around here. Some people kick really late. The late ones are annoying, and then there's some people who are like really insane, and they alternate. They sometimes kick super early, sometimes super late, and that's like impossible. If we fight people like that, I just don't even try to juke anymore. I try, but I don't try too hard. If I can't, I can't. So the easiest way is first I test against a fast one, so I do a VT and I cancel it fast. If I get kicks, perfect, then he's a fast kicker. If I don't get kicked, I'll cast one more and I'll let it around here and I'll stop. And if they didn't kick the first one, a lot of people will kick this one, the big one. Big one is very tempting to get to kick. If they don't kick either of them and I need to cast to do anything else, I don't care. At that point, I don't care, and I'm casting through. I'm getting kicked. Or at least I should. A lot of times I get stubborn. I'm like, no, I'm faking this guy. I'm faking. It's okay. It's okay. I'm faking. My healer is in CC. Disperse. Alright, so let me fake. And then I'm dead. That's bad, okay? So if you try it once, try it again. If he doesn't kick you, just let it go through. Let it go. And if he kicks you, that's fine. It's way better to get kicked and get locked out for 4 seconds than to just do this for 4 seconds. This is so silly. That's it. Any other questions? Class dismissed. That's it for this video. I hope it was useful. Again, if you guys have any questions, I stream almost every day on Twitch. Or you can obviously ask me in the comments below, and I'll try to respond there as well. But, you know, on Twitch, you can ask me live and I can respond live. See you there, or see you in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.